Kind of missed my gavel. I want to welcome everybody to this special call meeting of the Pulaski County School Board. I've got to say it's really good to see so many students to come and to come out and to find out a little bit more about the fiscal side of the Pulaski County Public Schools, and to come out and see our budget meeting for tonight. I know that's why you're all here, and we're just so excited that you came out to see that tonight. So, but no, I understand why you're here, and we're here to celebrate your accomplishments this year as well. So we're just tickled that you're here, and just an exciting year for athletics at Pulaski County. We're here tonight to recognize some folks. To recognize our lady basketball team, as well as our cross-country teams, or our indoor track teams, and our wrestling team. So we thank you all for coming tonight. And if you'd like to hang around for our budget meeting afterwards, you're more than welcome to hang around for that. I promise you, it's probably not quite as exciting as maybe a state championship basketball game, but it's okay. But to get started tonight, we'll go ahead and I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Sears, and we'll start out with some recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pulaski County High School had what may have been the most successful winter sports season in its history, so we're just extremely happy to see so many of our student athletes and parents and coaches out tonight to do some official recognition. Ordinarily, we would have some type of reception with food and all of the things that go along with that, but because of COVID, we're limited into those from doing those types of activities. But the school did a great job of putting together some swag bags for everyone, and so with that, I'll ask Ms. Bowling and Mr. Best to come forward and introduce the individual team members. And you can come up and get your bag and get your certificate from the school board, and please stay up front with your whole team, and once we get the whole team together, we'll do a picture, and then we'll move on to the next team.
Our girls basketball team can come forward, please, and coaches. Yeah, we do have some athletes that are not here from each of our teams. Of course, got a lot of our other sports going on here with our fall sports season going on. And I know we've got about 5 girls playing a volleyball match tonight over at Blacksburg. We certainly appreciate all those that could come out tonight. I'll recognize these individually. Mr. Hurst has a certificate to give them. Coaches, if you will take those for the girls that are not here, to make sure that they receive. I'll just go ahead and go down our entire list whether the girls are not here, whether they're here or not, so they can't get recognition. First young lady, Taryn Blankenship, she's not with us tonight. Haley Capps is on the volleyball team in Blacksburg tonight. Courtney Krieger, also on the volleyball team and competing at Blacksburg. Next up, Allie Fleener. Dalton's not in attendance tonight. Next up, Paige Huff. Kinsley Jones. Hannah Kiefer is at Blacksburg playing volleyball tonight, as is Jaden Lawson and Aaron Russell. All 3 of those are volleyball players. Next up, Andy Rackley. Caslin Sechrist. Tori Vest. I appreciate all of the girls and their efforts. We certainly appreciate our coaches and all that they've done for us this year. We're proud of all of our athletes. we made it to the state championship game, and unfortunately, probably didn't have our best game, but competed very well, had opportunities, and when you get that far, those things are going to happen. We'll give it our best shot again next year. We don't have a senior on the team this year. We got all of the girls coming back at all of our levels, and we look forward to a great year next year. If we can get get on over here.
Yeah.
Commissioners didn't make that noise.
No.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Next, we'll ask our indoor track team, boys and girls, to please come up. Our indoor track team competed I wish you could have been there to see them down in Amherst that day in the region meet, just the way that they got after it, the way that they supported each other. Just very, very proud of their efforts and the team that they had, how they care about each other and support each other. It's amazing. Girls, I think, took 4 girls down to the region and state meet and competed very, very well and ended up finishing 6th in the state. Just 4 girls competing. And then, of course, our guys were region runner-up as well as the state runner-up at the state meet. I think they probably had the best day they've ever had down at the state meet that day. And says something about them to show us to compete on that stage. We certainly appreciate that. I'll go down the list now for our indoor track. Boys first. This young man's not here, Zach Fox. Brady Fowler, not present. J.J. Gully, our state champion in the long jump, Armonte Hill Lewis. Evan Hall. Keontae Kennedy. Next up, Garrett Kinder. Wesley King. John Lyman. Bryce Martin. Timar Porter. Dante Reed. Lane Southers. Thomas Hanshoe. Thomas, we owe you, buddy. We messed it up. Diego Turner. Now for our girls team, Kelsey Arnold, Allison Castle, Claire Dunnigan, and Madison Woolwine. appreciate all of these athletes, the great effort they give, and all the time and dedication that they give. They basically go, many of them, go from cross country in the fall to indoor in the winter time, and then right into outdoor. And I mean, it's just year round for them. Their dedication is just unparalleled. We certainly appreciate it. Go, Joe. That's funny. Now, if our wrestling team can come forward, please. Wrestling team had a great year this year. We qualified 10 wrestlers for the state meet, and certainly appreciate all their hard work. It goes without saying that wrestling is one of those sports where there was nobody to point a finger at. There's nobody to blame. It's you know, what you see is what you get right there, one-on-one, and you know, it takes a tough individual to participate in that sport. We certainly appreciate all the guys and the ladies participating on the team. First up, Nicholas Golden. Damian Folks. Xavier Ramsey. Gavin Warner. Evan Alger. Jacob Crabtree. Connor Gallimore. Molly Keller. Parker Midkiff. And Zeke Server. We appreciate each of you guys and all your hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Why are y'all leaving? It's going to get exciting now. The best cards now. Thanks, guys. Chris, I know that you're on a tight timeline for tonight, so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll move on to our action items, and that's first of all is the approval of the proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. With that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Stafford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't offended by everybody leaving. Although I will have to say I did get the opportunity to speak to a couple of dual enrollment classes last week here at the high school, and I had a captive audience. Nobody was able to leave.
They couldn't go nowhere.
In fact, I told the teacher that no hall passes will be issued during this talk. But I am pleased to present to you their proposed fiscal year FY 2021-2022 Pulaski County School Board budget. As you know, we've had many school board work sessions. A lot of work has gone into this. You'll see how the distribution of funds as far as revenue sources, and the proposed total increase of $1,109,737 in projected state revenue, combined with a increase that we'll be requesting in county funding of $534,126, would meet our operating budget priorities for next year. So the next slide, you see, of course, the state revenue projection is based on a ADM of $3,807. 3,807 students. The state revenue projection, of course, is inclusive of the compensation supplement provided to fund a full 5% increase to all of our employees for next year. So the budget priority number one, of course, is to fund a 5% increase and a step increase for teachers. The cost of that is $1,353,853. If we do not, that also includes the additional cost of fringe benefits. The communications that I've had with finance directors in surrounding school divisions, almost all of them have indicated that their divisions are proposing 5% increases for next year. So we hope to keep ourselves at least on par with the school divisions in terms of recruitment and retention of teachers. It would also result, if we don't give the full 5%, in a prorated compensation supplement. So again, we're penalized not only our employees, but then we're penalized in terms of the additional state revenue we'd be getting to fund this increase. In the next slide, you see the proposed teacher salary scale, which is basically has that 5% increase added to it. The budget priority number two is to fund a 5% increase for all of our other support staff who work hard every day, are as important as anyone in this school system. The total projected cost of implementing that 5% increase, including fringe benefits, is $485,918. Now, that does not include the amounts that we've assigned to the increase for custodians that we have with the new pay scale, as well as the school nutrition staff with their new pay scale, and of course the school nutrition increase would come from the cafeteria fund, which is a separate funding source. Next, the budget priority number three would be new pay scales for our custodians and school nutrition staff. That's $149,259 to the school operating budget for the custodial scale, and then $120,734 to the school cafeteria fund for the new pay scale for those workers. Of course, these scales are not only to, of course, help with their recruitment of these employees, but also to keep up pace with the new minimum wage increases that are going to be taking place here in the state over the next few years. And so currently you see the starting hourly rate for a custodian is $10.64 an hour, and then for school nutrition staff employees, $10.59 an hour. The custodial scale proposes to increase the starting hourly rate to $12, which is going to be $1 above the minimum wage that becomes effective January 1st. And you'll see what that does to the current and proposed steps on the next slide. The new pay scales for cafeteria, the proposed scale would also increase head custodian wages as it does with their regular custodians, and you'll see those increases on the next slide as well. The total projected cost to implement the new custodial scale is $149,259. And then you'll see the proposed new scale on the next slide. For school nutrition, in a kind of a like manner, we are proposing to increase their starting hourly rate to $12 per hour, which is $1 above the minimum wage that becomes effective January 1st. And the total projected cost for that scale is $120,734. And as I've said before, that would be funded through the school nutrition fund and would not require any state or local money that we're requesting with our budget. And then the pay scale is on the next slide. Finally, I do want to mention that included in this year's budget, if you recall when we last year were working on our budget at the start of the pandemic, and of course we passed the budget, and then the General Assembly, based on their budget, and then the General Assembly done again and revised their forecast due to the uncertainty of COVID-19, and we had to, in turn, had to revise our budget. One of the things we did was to be, in terms of managing our finances in a conservative manner and prepare for any risk and uncertainty in the coming year, was to budget a contingency amount, and that was $345,167. We did not know what the effect of COVID-19 would be on state sales tax collections that we received, lottery proceeds, or our school enrollment. Fortunately, one of the things is those state levels of state funding have been fairly stable, where state sales tax payments are actually ahead of budget, and lottery proceeds are on budget, and enrollment, thankfully, is stable. Also, we received now some stimulus funds to help fund unbudgeted costs due to try to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. All that being said, we feel like that $345,167 can now be added to next year's budget, whereas right now it was kind of undesignated. We feel like that can be applied to our budget priorities. So the final slide, it shows you what our total budget needs would be based on the increase in state revenue, followed by the 3 budget priorities that we've discussed tonight. Again, the new salary scale for the school nutrition staff is not listed because that's not a part of the school operating budget. And when that credit for the budget contingency is applied, it shows that we would have currently a budget shortfall of $534,126. That's basically just the difference between our additional state revenue and the changes to our expenses for these budget priorities. So that would be our additional request for county funds over and above our base funding for next year. It's the $534,126. And so tonight we would recommend to you to adopt this proposed budget plan so we can communicate this to our county administrator and the Board of Supervisors prior to the April 1st deadline, and they can review that and we can begin those discussions. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Stafford this time? Any comments?
I have a question.
Ms. Cotter?
If the county says no on $534,000, is there a backup plan?
Well, that's a great question. That would be a question that we would have to meet again and propose some alternatives. Obviously, we would not. It would be very difficult for us to cut our budget to come up with $534,000. That would just be, if were, half of that or lower, if we could look at some areas, but getting to over $500,000 in their budget, and so much of it is 85% of it is salaries and benefits for personnel, and so many costs are fixed. That would be a very difficult amount for us to be able to reduce our budget to fund. Unfortunately, it would also mean that we would receive less a prorated share of state money, and I'd have to go back and recalculate again. So not being able to come up with that would also may put us just as far behind because of that reduction in state money.
I just wanted to ask, because it may be asked at some point.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Stafford? I would just like to say thank you, Chris, for the work that finance has done in working on this budget. Your department, as well as all of our, all those that have been involved in the budget process, our school administrators and school board office directors and administrators. So we want to thank you all for everything that you've done with this. I think it's a very conservative budget. We're not asking for really anything that I would consider out of the ordinary. We're asking to maintain a competitive pay scale is basically what we're asking for. We have 3 budget priorities, and that's what they all are, is just to maintain a competitive pay scale. In a time when we are all competing to hire the best talent in the New River Valley, I think this is critical to this year and to be able to pass this budget. So again, I want to thank you for the work that finance has done with this, Mr. Smith. With that, if there's no other questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 budget to be submitted to the Board of Supervisors for consideration?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the submitted 2021-2022 budget to submit to the Board of Supervisors for consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Golden. Mrs. Porter?
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Dr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Stafford, before you take a seat, do we have an update on the health insurance? I know that wasn't part of the budget proposal because we were looking at a decrease or holding steady this year.
Yes, so thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Sears. We did have a joint meeting with school and county staff last Friday. Obviously, the renewal, as I mentioned in their last budget session, was very favorable. It was recommended that we could reduce their premium equivalents. I think the possibility or the potential was a 12% reduction, although we were also advised by our health insurance consultants we may want to be more conservative than that due to this could be a one-time amount reduction due to some of the factors due to COVID-19. In our meeting, I think it was very collaborative with the county, and we would be reducing or asking their health insurance consultants to come up with some proposals to reduce our employee premiums by 6%, which would only be half of that amount. So we felt like that was a good number to look at. And so they're going to be working on some funding strategies to see what those premiums might look like. They're working on that right now, so we're waiting to see what kind of options the consultants would have. So very favorable again, but we'll be coming back to you with some options for health insurance premiums, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
That's great news. Chris, do you remember what year we went to a self-funded health insurance program?
I believe we started in 2014, 2015.
I know, I want to say last year, or maybe it was the year before last, our reserve at that time was right around $3 million. If I'm not mistaken, we're sitting at about $5 million right now, is what you told me.
Yes, sir.
So, it's hard to believe, and I mean, we're 6-7 years into this now, and for the last, ever since these board members have been on this board, health insurance premiums have either stayed the same or they've come down ever since. And not that we had a lot to do with it, but it's just so good to hear. That's really good news, and I know it's good news for the employees of Gladys County Public Schools.
Absolutely. It's not the norm. You know, we discussed this actually on Friday. It's not the norm.
No.
And you know, we have to celebrate and I guess communicate with our employees that this is, again, this is unique, and you know, most of the other surrounding school divisions can't celebrate this.
That's exactly right. That's another point that makes us so much more competitive with our value prop to our employees that absolutely needs to be considered. Again, thank you for that information. Brings us to the next action item, and that's the Gladys County High School band roof replacement. Mr. Schultz.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. March 16th, we got the bids back for the replacement of the roof over it's actually the band chorus in the foyer area outside of the auditorium. We're just calling it the band roof replacement for naming purposes. But tonight I'd like to recommend to the board that you approve the bid results we got. We got a bid of $261,548, which is well under budget. We were carrying about $400,000 in the capital improvement plan for this project, so it's well under budget and it needs replacing. And the current slide you're looking at is the bid tab. You can see that the tab, they were pretty close. I think it's a good response. So my recommendation to the board tonight is you approve the project for SG Young to replace the roof over the band section at the high school.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Schultz?
Mr. Schultz, when will this start this summer? We approved it tonight.
Yes, ma'am. It'll start June 21st. It has to be complete by August the 1st.
Any other? If I'm not mistaken, that roof has never been replaced, has it?
No, sir. It's a roof.
Okay.
That's not over the top of the little theater.
No, it's not over the theater itself. The theater is the raised section. It's everything around the raised section of the theater. Band, chorus, all the corresponding hallways, restrooms, and the foyer out front where you go into the little theater.
Any other questions or comments? If there are no other comments, is there a recommendation, a motion to approve the recommendation to award the bid for the band roof replacement to SG Young Contracting, LLC, for a lump sum of $261,548.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to award the bid for Pulaski County High School band roof replacement project to SG Young Contracting, LLC, for the lump sum price of $261,548.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Is there a second? Mr. Benson. Mrs. Porter?
Mr. Hurst.
Yes.
Mr. Benson.
Yes.
Ms. Cox.
Yes.
Dr. Patch.
Yes.
Ms. Golden.
Yes.
I don't believe there's any more business to come before this board this evening, so Mr. Stafford, you should be happy. We will go ahead and adjourn. Thank you all for coming. Bill, that was quick.
Wow, that was